I'm looking for your endorsement on whatever it is that I come up with, Joe, because we're just going to run with that.
You care about my endorsement?
I care very much about your endorsement because I think that your endorsement carries a tremendous amount of weight with the people that you influence. I want you to think about this, Joe. Think about the times that you have been in a conversation with someone and you're not sure about one way or the other, and that other person is trying to convince you, right? And what do? Right? They appeal to authority. They'll say, well, the boss says that my way is the way that we should go. And you go, well, I trust the boss. If you have the boss's endorsement on that, all right, I'll go that way. In radio, we say endorsements are incredibly important for advertisers. If I say I think that you should go buy a certain product, one, I've tried the product. Two, I believe in that product, right? That's the deal. But legally, we have to do that. We're not allowed to lie and say we haven't tried something. So I think endorsements carry a great deal of weight. When it comes to politics, though, I think the endorsement is a little more House of Cards. It's not nearly as. It's sort of everything can kind of fall apart. It's sort of a false facade.
So why do we see them all the times, though? Why do we see newspapers and media organizations saying, we endorse X candidate? Or why do we see Hulk Hogan up at the RNC stumping for Donald Trump? Or there's all this clamor that, Taylor Swift could come out and get behind Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I think you see Hulk Hogan because they couldn't get anybody bigger.
You kidding me, brother? These 24-inch pythons, nobody's bigger than that.
And I think that they do carry some cachet with them. So, for instance, Beyonce gave Kamala Harris her blessing to use her song. And you may have seen the ad that they threw out real fast. It's got Beyonce's song in it, right?
Okay.
Beyonce didn't endorse Kamala Harris, but she didn't tell her not to use her song, which we've seen that happen with politicians using a song.
So it's kind of a silent endorsement.
Kind of. And I think that when you have somebody who has a lot of followers, and especially in a world of influencers, I think that when the influencer says, you've trusted me before on hair care products, you've trusted me before on which cars to buy, you should trust me on who the great politician is, I think that does make the recipient of the message sort of pause a moment and say, that's somebody I believe in that says I should believe in this other person. Maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. In a tight race, as we know, we're only talking about 6 or 8% of the population in swing states that are going to decide this race, right?
Does it matter more on a local level? For instance, Rachel Mitchell, our Maricopa County attorney, she posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, this past week, that she got an endorsement from Randy Johnson, the former great Diamondback pitcher out here.
Yeah.
He says that he's proud to back her up. And
has he not paid attention to the Gilbert Goons stuff at all?
Don't know.
Okay. All right.
And if I'm Rachel Mitchell, isn't she convinced that Randy Johnson on some level is relatable to Arizonans and that that's going to do something for her, or else she wouldn't do it? To me, it feels a lot like middle school when you're going out for, 8th grade class president.
Yeah.
And, I more so think they're like, I'll give you free recess or this or that. You make promises that you can never back up, but it's the same kind of thing.
Yes. Let's use your analogy, though, and let's say this. You're running for class president in 8th grade, all right? You've got the coolest kid in class, the quarterback of the football team, the head cheerleader, whatever it is, and they start telling everybody that people should vote for your opponent. But you get the guy who's at the head of the computer and AV club to start telling everybody that they should back you.
That's not going to end well for you.
Why not?
Because
endorsements matter?
Because the cool kids win out.
Yeah. So I do think the celebrity endorsements have a little bit of weight to them. And I think that's why Rachel Mitchell, what does it cost her to say Randy Johnson supports me? It doesn't cost her anything.
And I think it matters more locally than it does on a national level, too.
What if the celebrity is huge? A lot of people have speculated. In fact, the Republicans were starting rumors that they were trying to say, don't believe if Taylor Swift endorses Biden. Now it's Harris. Don't believe it. It's not worth anything. Like, she hasn't said anything, but they're all worried that Taylor Swift is going to throw her weight behind the Democratic ticket.
I don't know who would move the needle nationally, because I feel like if you're Taylor Swift and you come out in support of Kamala Harris, to me, I feel like everybody who likes Taylor Swift, not everybody, but most people who like Taylor Swift are likely going to vote for Kamala anyways. Because most people who like the UFC probably are going to go with Trump anyways. Yes, Dana White was at the RNC.
Yeah.
You just think about those factions and where they naturally lie, and you figure, yeah, Taylor Swift is more Kamala, Dana White more UFC. We've seen Trump at UFC events. It just kind of fits to me. Whereas Randy Johnson backing Rachel Mitchell feels kind of out of left field, and I feel like there could be a bigger impact. Because,
pun intended?
Bigger, like big unit?
No, out of left field.
Oh,
yeah. See, baseball reference. You didn't even catch your own pun.
No,
well done.
No, I did not.
Continue.
I feel like there could be a bigger impact also because there's fewer votes here locally. And when you're geo-targeting an area, in this case, Maricopa County, and you think, wow, the big unit, he won us a World Series. He was a big deal. He stands behind Rachel Mitchell. She's tough on crime. I want to get behind that. I feel like there's more there, especially if it is a out of left field endorsement. It's not the former county attorney or somebody who lives in that field backing them up. It's a pitcher backing up a county attorney. You'd never expect that.
See, I agree with you, and I think on the surface... But you're going to go the
exact opposite way? Or?
Well, I think on the surface, you're exactly right. Like the cool kid endorsing your opponent in the 8th grade class president race, right?
Yeah.
Except I would say this. Wouldn't that be like Rachel Mitchell saying that she's going to teach Randy Johnson how to throw a pitch?
Yeah. It kind of is. So if you really sit there and think about it, what sense does it make?
None. I would rather hear from former county attorneys or high-powered attorneys or successful attorneys, or I'd rather hear from a criminal who says that they hate Rachel Mitchell, right? I mean, if I'm the county attorney, I want somebody who I locked up to say I hate her, right? I would run that in my ad. So, yeah, on the surface, the bigger the name that you can have backing you, the better. But when you dig a little bit deeper into it, and this is what you and I like to do on the show, all of a sudden it seems to fall apart.
But I do think elections to some degree are a popularity contest, and they wouldn't accept these endorsements, the candidates, if they didn't feel like they mattered, and celebrities wouldn't make them if they didn't feel like they mattered.
I don't endorse, side note, I don't endorse anybody in politics. And there's a reason. I almost got stung on this one time. So before I got into talk radio, I was working in Chino Valley, right? And I was doing radio up there. And one of our salespeople was real big in the GOP party in Yavapai County. And do you remember Rick Renzi?
Yes.
Okay, so Rick Renzi was a representative, right? And Rick Renzi came up there, and I used to do these things with him, and our salesperson would have me interview him all the time. Now, this is on a country station at the time. I wasn't doing talk radio yet. And then he came out to the rodeo, and we were interviewing him and have a grand old time and all this stuff. And then I had a side hustle as a DJ. So he says, hey, listen, we think we're going to win the election. I want to say this was like 2004. He goes, we're planning on winning the election, so we're going to have an election night party. The polling number was good, all that stuff. He says, do you want to DJ that? And I said, I'd love to. So I did, and he paid me. It was transactional, right? But I was like, wow, this Rick Renzi is really great. He's really super guy. And then, if you're not familiar, Rick Renzi then got indicted and found guilty on a number of counts, and only to be pardoned by Trump many years later. But yeah, he was convicted on federal criminal charges against him for his involvement in a land swap deal.
Did you endorse him?
I didn't endorse him, but I had kind of saddled up next to him.
You
way
felt
too
like
close.
Your presence at some of his events made it seem like you were endorsing him.
Yes, and the fact that he was a guy I had on the show all the time, and I was kind of softball questioning him because it was a music morning show.
You were also told to, though, right?
Yeah, right. But when I got into talk radio, I said, you know what? I am not attaching my name to anybody else's. So here's the danger that Randy Johnson runs into now. And that is, what if something goes really awry with Rachel Mitchell? What if she really screws something up? And let's say that there's, just hypothetical, I don't have any reason to think that this is going on, but let's just say that she screws something up. There's prosecutorial misconduct, and everybody accused in the Preston Lord murder is somehow set free because of some screw up that she had. Right? Now, I don't think that's going to happen, and I think she's dotting her I's and crossing her T's. Let me be very clear. I'm just giving a hypothetical. Mm-hmm. But Randy Johnson's name would now be tied to that massive blunder. And we would all go, oh, yeah, boy, she screwed that up. You remember Randy Johnson endorsed her. And we would all go, this is why you should never endorse anybody. Mm-hmm. Right?
Doesn't matter as much, though, now that he's out of the professional sports world. Now he's more photographer, doing things like that.
I would say it actually matters even more because the only thing he has is his name, and he doesn't have that big national platform to rebuild it based on his skills. Yeah. I mean, that's his brand now, who he is.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.